change the mathematical world. They write books of me. They make movies where Ryan Gosling plays Mr. Conley. Seems like the most appropriate person to play me. That or Jack Black, I think also might be a very suitable person. Okay, so these two guys, they got some cons, they got some issues. The third way is called the quadratic formula. Students really like the quadratic formula. Its pro, and probably the biggest pro in my personal opinion, is that it always works. It always works, no matter what. I don't care if your x squared is negative, if there's numbers, if there's odds, if there's even, it doesn't matter. It always works. The con? It's got a mild level of difficulty, in my personal opinion. Mild. Notice I used the word mild. It's not hard. Okay, so the quadratic formula, it goes like this. So you want to write this down. It gives you the x-intercepts, and so that's why we say x equals. All right? It's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. There you go. There it is. The good old quadratic formula. All right. So I'm going to do an example for you. So let's say I gave you, let's say I said, find the solutions of, let's see. So y equals, let's do x squared minus 5x. Let's do minus 7, perhaps. Okay, so I want to show you guys the thought process that I go through on this. First, I try factoring, and I just ask myself, well, is there anything that multiplies to be negative 7 and adds to be negative 5? Well, there isn't. So factoring doesn't work. Completing the square is not a good choice because your b value is negative, or b is odd. So that's not a good choice either. So now that leads me to the only suitable choice is the quadratic formula. Okay, so I'll show you how the quadratic formula works. So, like finding the x-intercepts to any particular equation, you set y equal to 0. Now, I do want to point out differences from completing the square and the quadratic formula. In this particular case, the quadratic formula, all terms need to be on one side of the equal sign. So you either put all the terms in this particular case on the right side, or if you needed to rearrange it and all of them were on the left side, that's fine. They just all need to be together. In this particular case, the x's and the numbers, they like each other. So, your first step, identify A, B, and C. We've used A and B a lot. A is going to be 1, and B is negative 5. And C, that's just the lonely number on the end, so negative 7. So then we input all of those numbers into that quadratic formula. So the first part is negative b. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the formula for you guys so you can see exactly where each thing is going. So let's start inputting our numbers. I'm going to do negative 5 plus or minus the square root of b squared. So that's negative 5 squared. Notice my use of parentheses. Then you get minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 7, all over 2 times 1. All right, then it's just all order of operations. I would do this front part first to make it positive 5. And then I always do this part in pieces. Negative 5 squared is 25. And then I put minus, and then I put a parenthesis. Because I'm going to take 4 times 1, which is 4, times negative 7, which is negative 28. And then I have all of that over 2. So let's see what we get. These two become a plus. And so that's going to give me 53. Yes, 53 all over 2. Oh, man. So it looks kind of scary, the answer, but you can actually get 2 solutions out of this. So let's assume the square root of 53 is positive. And then let's assume the square root of 53 is negative. And then just like completing the square, it's all calculator work. So 5 plus the square root of 53, and then I'll divide that number by 2. So one of my x-intercepts is 6.14. 5 minus the square root of 53 divided by 2 would give me negative 1.14. And there you go. There's your 2 solutions. I do want to make clear something to you guys that I didn't necessarily make clear to you yesterday. And this isn't necessarily for like my class, but this right here, like if you were to stop and just say that this was your answer, this is a suitable answer. You know, it's completely reduced because the square root of 53, we'll get to a couple examples where maybe you can do like the factoring tree. But for now, this is a suitable answer. You don't necessarily have to go to this part. So, but I just want to show you, this is kind of difficult for students to understand. So sometimes when I break it apart and they can see actually what the numbers are, it has a tendency to help, I think. So, all right. Do you guys have any questions for me? No? Okay. Well, I'll give you another one to try then. I'm going to bump up the difficulty a little bit. So this will be on your own. See how far you can get. So find the x-intercepts for y equals, let's do 2x squared minus 7x minus 3. All right. So it doesn't factor, it doesn't do completing the square wouldn't be a good choice. So the quadratic formula is your only suitable choice. So I'll check back with you in like 3 minutes. want to put your answer in the chat, feel free to do so. I'm going to take attendance. All right, if anybody's stuck, A should be 2, B should be -7, and C should be -3. And then remember it's set equal to 0, which is already solid. We got that going. So everything's on one side, so that's good. So when you plug it in, it should look like this. So check to make sure you've plugged it in properly. -4 times A times C all over 2 times A. Good. Luke, I think that looks about right. I don't know the answers, but I like that you threw it in the chat. Maybe we'll see if some people agree with you in a minute. Brighten up my paper a little bit. All right, let's see here. So we're going to get 7 in the front plus or minus the square root of 49 minus 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times -3 is -24. All over 4. Okay, so we'll add those together. X equals 7 plus or minus the square root of 73 over 4. So if you guys wanted to stop right there, you could stop right there. Or sometimes I prefer to go further. It's not that big of a deal. Let's see. Let's see if Luke is right. All right, Luke, here it goes. 7 plus square root of 73 divided by 4. Ooh. 3.88. So 7 minus the square root of 73 divided by 4, -0.386. All right. So those are my 2 answers. Luke, did you figure out your mistake? Oh, you put that B was 2. I see. I see. Gotcha. Yeah, you want to make sure you identify the A, B, and C first. Nice. Easy fix, Luke. Not a big deal. Okay. Do you guys have any questions about that? Any concerns? I mean, there's not much else to it. That's pretty much about it. So, I'm going to pause this video because I think that's